In the quiet forests of Oregon, a warm summer evening was suddenly disrupted by a bright flash in the sky. A strange object, glowing with an eerie blue light, streaked across the horizon and crashed into the dense woods with a deafening boom. The impact shook the ground and sent wildlife scurrying in all directions. General John Simmons, a seasoned military leader, was immediately notified of the incident. He quickly assembled a team of his best soldiers and experts to investigate the crash site. As they approached the area, they were stunned by the sight before them. A massive, metallic craft lay half buried in the earth, its surface covered in intricate patterns and symbols unlike anything they had ever seen before. General Simmons realized that this was no ordinary aircraft. He immediately called for reinforcements and set up a secure perimeter around the crash site. As news of the strange event spread, people from nearby towns began to gather, curious about the mysterious object that had fallen from the sky. Among the crowd was Dr. Emily Thompson, a brilliant aerospace engineer who had been working on cutting-edge propulsion systems. When she heard about the crash, she knew she had to see it for herself. She approached General Simmons and offered her expertise in analyzing the alien technology. General Simmons was initially hesitant to allow a civilian into the secure area, but he recognized the value of Dr. Thompson's knowledge. He agreed to let her join the investigation team, provided that she follow strict security protocols. As Dr. Thompson and the military experts approached the alien craft, they were awestruck by its size and complexity. The ship was unlike anything they had ever encountered before. Its smooth, metallic surface seemed to absorb light, and strange symbols glowed faintly along its edges. The team carefully examined the exterior of the ship, looking for any signs of damage or potential entry points. They discovered that the craft had sustained significant damage during the crash, with large sections of its hull crumpled and torn. General Simmons ordered his men to set up a makeshift research facility around the crash site. They brought in generators, lights, and advanced scanning equipment to study the alien technology. Dr. Thompson worked tirelessly alongside the military scientists, trying to unravel the secrets of the extraterrestrial vessel. As they delved deeper into the ship's interior, they found themselves in a maze of corridors and chambers filled with strange devices and machinery. The technology was far beyond anything they had ever seen on Earth, and they struggled to make sense of its purpose and function. Days turned into weeks as the team worked around the clock to analyze the alien craft. They collected samples, took detailed measurements, and tried to decipher the strange symbols and language that covered the ship's walls. Despite their best efforts, the true origin and mission of the alien starship remained a mystery. The technology was so advanced that even Dr. Thompson, with all her expertise, found herself at a loss to fully understand it. As the investigation continued, rumors began to spread about the crashed alien ship. Some people claimed that the government was hiding the truth about extraterrestrial life, while others feared that the aliens might come looking for their lost vessel. General Simmons and his team did their best to keep the situation under control, but they knew that the longer the ship remained on Earth, the greater the risk of its discovery by other nations or groups with less benevolent intentions. As the world watched and waited, the team of experts continued their work, driven by a desire to unravel the secrets of the alien technology and prepare for whatever consequences might arise from this historic event. Little did they know that the crash landing was only the beginning of a much larger and more dangerous adventure that would soon unfold. The story of the crashed alien ship in the Oregon woods had only just begun, and the fate of Earth and its inhabitants would soon be intertwined with the mysterious visitors from another world. As Dr. Emily Thompson and her team continued to study the alien ship, they worked tirelessly to access its data core. They hoped that by deciphering the information stored within, they could finally uncover the truth about the ship's origin and purpose. After weeks of effort, they made a breakthrough. Using a combination of reverse engineering and advanced computer algorithms, they managed to crack the ship's security systems and gain access to its primary database. What they found was beyond their wildest imagination. The ship belonged to a vast interstellar civilization known as the Andromeda Empire. The Andromedans had been observing Earth for decades, studying its inhabitants and monitoring their technological progress. The team discovered that the crashed vessel was a scout ship, sent to test a new propulsion system that would allow the Andromedans to travel faster than ever before. However, during the test flight, something had gone terribly wrong, causing the ship to malfunction and crash land on Earth. As they delved deeper into the ship's logs, Dr. Thompson and her colleagues uncovered a disturbing truth. The Andromedans were not merely curious observers, they had a hidden agenda. The scout ship was part of a larger mission to assess Earth's potential as a future colony and resource hub for the Empire. The logs revealed that the Andromedans had been secretly manipulating human politics and technology for years, steering the course of human history to suit their own purposes. They had even gone so far as to infiltrate human governments and corporations, planting agents to gather intelligence and sabotage any attempts to develop advanced technologies that could threaten their dominance. Dr. Thompson and her team were shocked by these revelations. They realized that the crashed ship represented not only a technological marvel but also a dire warning of the Andromedans' intentions. As they continued to analyze the data, they discovered that the Andromedans were already planning their next move. The loss of the scout ship had not deterred them. In fact, it had only strengthened their resolve to retrieve their technology at any cost. The team learned that the Andromedans had a vast fleet of warships and advanced weapons that could easily overwhelm Earth's defenses. They were determined to prevent their technology from falling into human hands, even if it meant destroying entire cities or nations in the process. Dr. Thompson knew that they had to act fast. She gathered her team and informed General Simmons of their findings. Together, they began to formulate a plan to protect Earth and its people from the impending Andromedan threat. They realized that they needed to find a way to negotiate with the Andromedans, to convince them that humans were not a threat and that peaceful coexistence was possible. But they also knew that they needed to prepare for the worst-case scenario, in case diplomacy failed. As they worked to develop a strategy, they continued to study the alien technology, hoping to find weaknesses or vulnerabilities that they could exploit. They also began to reach out to other nations and scientific organizations, sharing their knowledge and enlisting their help in the fight against the Andromedans. But even as they made progress, they knew that time was running out. The Andromedans were already on their way, and they would stop at nothing to retrieve their lost ship and protect their interests. Dr. Thompson and her team worked around the clock, pushing themselves to the brink of exhaustion as they raced against time to uncover the truth and find a way to save their world. As the days turned into weeks, the tension mounted. The world held its breath, waiting for the inevitable confrontation between humanity and the Andromeda Empire. And all the while, the crashed alien ship remained in the Oregon woods, a silent testament to the incredible discovery that had changed everything. Its secrets had been unlocked, but the true battle for Earth's future was only just beginning. 3 months had passed since the alien ship crashed in the Oregon woods, and the world had been holding its breath, waiting for the inevitable response from the Andromeda Empire. Dr. Emily Thompson and her team had been working tirelessly to prepare for the worst, but nothing could have prepared them for what happened next. On a clear summer morning, a massive fleet of Andromedan warships suddenly appeared in Earth's orbit. The ships were unlike anything humanity had ever seen before, sleek, powerful, and bristling with advanced weapons. The people of Earth watched in horror as the alien vessels took up positions above their cities and began to broadcast a message on all frequencies. The voice that spoke was cold and emotionless, with a metallic edge that sent shivers down the spines of all who heard it. People of Earth, the voice said, I am Admiral Zoran of the Andromeda Empire. 3 months ago, one of our scout ships crashed on your planet. We have come to retrieve our property and any technology that you may have salvaged from it. The message continued, laying out the Andromedans' demands in no uncertain terms. They wanted the immediate return of their ship and all technology that had been reverse-engineered from it. They also demanded that Earth submit to Andromedan rule and become a vassal state of the Empire. To show that they meant business, the Andromedans fired a warning shot, a precision beam weapon that destroyed a chain of communication satellites in orbit. The message was clear: resist, and face the consequences. Panic gripped the nations of Earth as their leaders scrambled to respond to the Andromedan ultimatum. Some argued for immediate surrender, believing that resistance was futile in the face of such overwhelming technological superiority. Others called for a united front, insisting that Earth must stand together against the alien threat. In the midst of the chaos, Dr. Thompson and her team worked feverishly to find a way to negotiate with the Andromedans. They knew that giving up the alien technology was not an option. It was Earth's only hope of leveling the playing field and ensuring its survival. As the hours ticked by and tensions mounted, the Andromedan fleet remained in orbit, waiting for Earth's response. Admiral Zoran made it clear that he would not hesitate to use force if his demands were not met. General Simmons, who had been leading the military response to the crisis, met with Dr. Thompson and her team to discuss their options. They knew that they were outmatched in terms of firepower, but they hoped that they could find a way to negotiate a peaceful solution. As they talked, a plan began to take shape. They would send a delegation to meet with Admiral Zoran and try to find a way to coexist with the Andromedans. They would offer to share the alien technology in exchange for Earth's independence and a guarantee of non-aggression from the Empire. It was a risky gambit, but they knew that they had no choice. The alternative was a war that Earth could not hope to win. As the delegation prepared to depart, Dr. Thompson and her team continued to study the alien technology, searching for any advantage they could find. They knew that the fate of their world hung in the balance and that they could not afford to fail. The meeting with Admiral Zoran was tense and fraught with danger. The Andromedan leader was cold and calculating, and he seemed unmoved by the humans' pleas for peace. But as the talks continued, a glimmer of hope began to emerge. The humans offered to share their own scientific knowledge and resources with the Andromedans in exchange for a seat at the galactic table. They argued that Earth could be a valuable ally to the Empire, rather than a subject to be conquered. Admiral Zoran seemed to consider the proposal, but his final decision remained uncertain. The fate of Earth and its people hung in the balance as the two sides negotiated and maneuvered for advantage. In the end, a tenuous agreement was reached. The Andromedans would withdraw their fleet and allow Earth to keep the alien technology, but they would maintain a presence in the solar system to monitor humanity's progress and ensure compliance with the terms of the deal. It was a bitter pill to swallow, but it was better than the alternative. Earth had bought itself some time, but the threat of the Andromeda Empire still loomed large on the horizon. As the Andromedan ships began to depart, the people of Earth breathed a collective sigh of relief. They had avoided annihilation, but at what cost? Only time would tell if the fragile peace would hold, or if the Andromedans would return to finish what they had started. Dr. Thompson and her team knew that their work was far from over. They had won a small victory, but the battle for Earth's future was only just beginning. They would need to work harder than ever to unravel the secrets of the alien technology and find a way to ensure humanity's survival in the face of an uncertain future. In the aftermath of the Andromedan ultimatum, Earth's leaders knew that they had to act fast to prevent a full-scale invasion. They turned to the United Nations, hoping that diplomacy could succeed where military might have failed. The UN Security Council convened an emergency session to discuss the crisis. After much debate, they appointed Ambassador Michael Roberts to lead a delegation to negotiate with the Andromedans. Roberts was a seasoned diplomat with a reputation for finding common ground in even the most difficult situations. As the delegation prepared to depart, Dr. Emily Thompson and her team continued to study the alien technology. They hoped to find a way to level the playing field and give Earth a fighting chance if negotiations failed. The meeting with the Andromedans took place on a neutral space station on the edge of the solar system. Ambassador Roberts and his team were greeted by a delegation led by Admiral Zoran himself. The negotiations were tense from the start. The Andromedans were unwilling to compromise on their demands for the return of their technology and the submission of Earth to their rule. They saw humans as primitive and untrustworthy, and they were determined to protect their interests at any cost. Ambassador Roberts tried to appeal to their sense of reason, arguing that cooperation and mutual understanding could benefit both sides. He offered to share human scientific knowledge and resources in exchange for a peaceful coexistence. But the Andromedans were unmoved. They saw humans as a threat to their dominance and were unwilling to take any risks. They demanded nothing less than total surrender. As the talks dragged on, tensions began to rise on Earth. Some factions argued that the only way to ensure humanity's survival was to give in to the Andromedans' demands. Others insisted that surrender was not an option and that Earth must fight to defend its freedom and independence. Dr. Thompson and her team worked around the clock to find a way to break the stalemate. They studied the alien technology, looking for weaknesses or vulnerabilities that could be exploited. Finally, they made a breakthrough. They discovered that the Andromedan ships relied on a rare mineral called Zortium for their advanced propulsion systems. If they could find a way to disrupt the supply of Zortium, they could cripple the Andromedan fleet and level the playing field. But before they could act on this information, they received a disturbing report from Ambassador Roberts. The Andromedans had launched a surprise attack on the crash site in Oregon, hoping to recover their lost ship and technology by force. The human guards at the site fought bravely, but they were no match for the Andromedan ground troops. In a matter of hours, the aliens had secured the crash site and begun to remove the wreckage and technology. Dr. Thompson and her team were horrified by the news. They knew that if the Andromedans succeeded in recovering their technology, Earth would be at their mercy. They quickly put together a plan to stop the Andromedans before it was too late. They would launch a covert mission to the crash site, using a small team of elite soldiers and scientists to infiltrate the Andromedan perimeter and sabotage their efforts. The mission was risky, but they knew that they had no choice. If they failed, Earth would be lost. As the team prepared to depart, they received another shock. Ambassador Roberts had been killed in a mysterious explosion on the space station where the negotiations were taking place. The Andromedans claimed that it was an accident, but many suspected that it was a deliberate act of sabotage. The news of Roberts' death only strengthened the team's resolve. They knew that they were Earth's last hope, and they were determined to succeed no matter the cost. As they made their way to the crash site, they encountered fierce resistance from the Andromedan ground troops. But they fought bravely, using their knowledge of the alien technology to their advantage. In the end, they succeeded in sabotaging the Andromedan efforts and preventing them from recovering their lost technology. But the victory came at a high price. Many of the team members were killed or wounded in the fighting, and the crash site was heavily damaged. The Andromedans were furious at the betrayal and vowed to take revenge on Earth. They began to mobilize their fleet for a full-scale invasion, determined to crush the human resistance once and for all. Earth's leaders knew that they had to act fast to prevent a catastrophe. They began to prepare for war, mobilizing their own forces and reaching out to allies for help. The stage was set for a final showdown between Earth and the Andromeda Empire, with the fate of humanity hanging in the balance. The diplomacy had failed, and betrayal had led to an all-out war. The only question that remained was who would emerge victorious in the end. The Andromedan fleet hung in Earth's orbit like a sword of Damocles, ready to strike at any moment. The people of Earth watched in fear as the alien ships cast their shadows across the planet's surface. In the midst of the chaos, Dr. Emily Thompson and her team worked tirelessly to find a way to stop the Andromedans before it was too late. They had discovered a weakness in the alien ship's shields that could be exploited, but they needed time to develop a weapon that could take advantage of it. As they raced against the clock, the Andromedans launched their attack. Their ships rained down fire on Earth cities, reducing them to rubble in a matter of hours. The human military fought bravely, but they were outmatched by the alien superior technology. General Simmons led the defense of Earth's last remaining stronghold, a secret base hidden deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. There, Dr. Thompson and her team worked to finish their weapon, knowing that it was humanity's last hope. As the Andromedans closed in on the base, the humans prepared for a final stand. They knew that they were outnumbered and outgunned, but they were determined to fight to the last man. Just as all seemed lost, Dr. Thompson and her team completed their weapon. It was a massive electromagnetic pulse cannon that could penetrate the Andromedans' shields and disable their ships. The humans launched a desperate counterattack, using the pulse cannon to take out the Andromedans' flagship. The alien ship exploded in a brilliant flash of light, sending shockwaves through the rest of the fleet. The Andromedans were thrown into disarray by the loss of their flagship, and the humans pressed their advantage. They used the pulse cannon to take out more ships, while their own fighters engaged the enemy in dogfights above Earth's skies. The battle raged for hours, with both sides taking heavy losses. The Andromedans fought fiercely, but the humans' determination and ingenuity began to turn the tide. Finally, after a grueling battle, the last Andromedan ship was destroyed. The humans had won, but at a terrible cost. Earth's cities lay in ruins, and millions had lost their lives in the fighting. As the smoke cleared, the survivors began to pick up the pieces. They knew that the road ahead would be long and difficult, but they were determined to rebuild and create a better future for themselves and their children. Dr. Thompson and her team were hailed as heroes, and their names would go down in history as the saviors of humanity. But they knew that their work was far from over. The Andromedans had been defeated, but there were other threats out there in the vastness of space. Earth would need to be vigilant and ready to defend itself against any future challenges. In the years that followed, humanity began to rebuild and expand beyond its home planet. They established colonies on other worlds and made contact with other alien races, some friendly and some hostile. Through it all, they remembered the lessons they had learned from the Andromedan War. They knew that they could never let their guard down and that they must always be ready to fight for their survival. As for Dr. Thompson and her team, they continued their work in the fields of science and technology. They used their knowledge to help humanity advance and to prepare for whatever challenges lay ahead. They knew that the universe was a vast and dangerous place, but they also knew that humans had the courage and the ingenuity to face whatever lay ahead. They had proven that they could stand up to even the most powerful of enemies and emerge victorious. And so, as Earth looked to the stars and dreamed of a brighter future, Dr. Thompson and her team continued their work, knowing that they had played a small but vital role in ensuring humanity's survival. The Andromedan War had been a turning point in human history, a moment when the fate of an entire species had hung in the balance. But through their courage and determination, the humans had emerged victorious, ready to face whatever challenges the future might bring. It was a story that would be told for generations to come, a tale of bravery and sacrifice in the face of overwhelming odds. And as the people of Earth looked to the stars and dreamed of what lay beyond, they knew that they had the strength and the will to face whatever the universe might throw at them.